Creating content on LinkedIn is tough, and sometimes it's just really difficult to know where to get started. And so in this video, we're going to cover tips that helped me to go from an absolute beginner to amassing over 35,000 followers and counting on LinkedIn, despite having zero experience. Starting out, the first thing that I recommend is you really just need to decide what topics you want to post about. And what I mean by this is you need to decide maybe 2 or 3 core sections or core topics that you want to be known for. For me personally, I chose LinkedIn and the job search because those are things that I was kind of passionate about learning, and I wanted to be able to help other people who are facing these issues. And that kind of goes along with my second point of deciding and determining a target audience. Once you have kind of this topic that you want to post about, then you should niche down or think about who it is that will be viewing your content. And so for me, I chose college students because I was a college student. I knew the struggles that we faced. No one teaches you how to use LinkedIn as a college student. You kind of figure it out on your own. Most professors don't know it either. And so I made sure to focus on college students instead of just job seekers in general. And once you can understand their problems, it will help you to be able to frame the content that you create and call them out and maybe get their attention from the get-go. This third point is what I call the bear analogy, and it actually changed my entire perspective on content creation. And the analogy is, how fast do you have to run to outrun a bear? And the answer is faster than your friend. Like, it's the slowest bear is faster than the fastest human. And so you're not likely to outrun a bear, but you just need to outrun the person behind you. And the same applies for content. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what to post about. I'm not an expert. Why would anyone listen to me? I don't have any credibility. And to be honest, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know a little bit more than the person that you're writing for. Like they say, you only need to be 1 chapter ahead in a book to know more than the next person. And so if you're, let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're like a 3 or a 4, knowledge-wise on any given topic, start posting for people who are at a 0 or a 1. Imagine it's your grandparents or your parents or your friends who know nothing about a topic, but they want to learn. And so when I started out, I was posting for myself from a few months and a few years earlier, as if I were giving tips to myself on how to start. And so once you realize you don't need to be an expert to get started, just gear your content for someone who is beginning and learning the steps. This other part is actually really important, and that is write down your why. Actually physically write it out and don't skip the step. The reason is because you need to have an intrinsic motivation to create content. Extrinsic isn't enough. If your goal is just to get a lot of likes, a lot of views, a lot of followers, then you're going to get discouraged when it doesn't happen, and you're likely going to quit. So you need to decide what your intrinsic motivation, what your why is that you want to build a personal brand, you want job security, you want to get better at writing, you want to get to know a lot of people on the platform. Whatever it is, when you do get discouraged, because it will likely happen, this is something that you can fall back on and be like, hey, I'm not in this for the views, I'm not in this for the likes, I'm in this to hopefully impact and change one life for every post that I share. And so once you have that motivation, it helps you to continue and stick through it. Next is right from the beginning, you need to set kind of expectations and a cadence. And what I mean by that is set goals, short and long-term goals. How many posts do you want to do every week or every month in a year? What kind of targets are you reaching for? And you need to have the expectation that LinkedIn isn't like any other social media platform. You know, on TikTok, someone can create a video and the first video gets millions of views and they get hundreds of thousands of followers from one single video. That, I'm just going to say, if that's the goal, it's not going to happen on LinkedIn. You know, you should stick to the other platforms. LinkedIn is a slog. Like, sometimes it is just very difficult and it can be pretty discouraging at times, but you need to know it's like a marathon. And so if you come in knowing, hey, I'm in this for the long haul, I'm in it to learn, and you have that expectation, it will be a lot easier to stick to it instead of coming in like, hey, I got this, I'm going to grow so fast. The next, you need to set a pace that you can comfortably sustain. When I started posting content on LinkedIn, I was told, hey, you need to post every single day in order to be successful on the platform. And so I came in like, all right, let's post every day. I made it 4 days. After 4 days, I quit. I was like, this is way too much. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this. Content creation isn't for me. And so I quit. I didn't touch it, I think, for like another year and a half. It wasn't until I actually needed it that I came back to LinkedIn. But when I did, I started out doing once every week. And then I moved up to twice a week. And then I think the most I ever settled at was 3 times a week, because I was like, all right, if I do any more, I'm going to get burnt out. So set a pace and a schedule that you can comfortably sustain for the long run. And this goes along with this next point. 2 times 12 is better than 24 times 1. And what I mean by that, as a former recruiter and a LinkedIn employee, I would prefer someone, if they posted 24 times in 1 year, I would rather they post 2 times per month for 12 months as opposed to 24 times in 1 month. If that was their New Year's resolution, January 1st to January 24th, they posted 24 times. Come January 25th, they might already start amassing like some people, getting to know them, start building up a brand. But if they never post again, it doesn't benefit them anything. But if you're able to maintain that cadence across a long period of time, people will get to know you, understand you, and you'll be able to start reaping those benefits than if you just get burnt out. So set those expectations. This next tip is very underrated, and if you are starting out as an absolute beginner, I recommend you start right here. And that's comment before you learn to post. Comment. It's really important. What I mean by that is find people who are posting about topics that you want to post about. And so for me, the job search and LinkedIn tips is what I wanted to get known for. And so I just looked up and found a lot of people posting about that topic, and I would leave comments on their posts. And over time, people start to associate your name with the topics that you are commenting on. And then it's a great way to build relationships with other content creators, and it's just a wonderful thing to start engaging with. The next is actually kind of a pro tip. That is to click the bell icons on influencer profiles. And what I mean by that is, I'm going crazy right here. What I mean by that is a single comment can actually get a ton of views on LinkedIn. If there's a post that's getting millions of views and thousands of likes, go to their profile, click on the bell icon so that you get notified when they post, and try and leave a comment within the first 30 minutes. And the reason is they're more likely to see it. And I've actually had comments that I have left on a post that ended up getting seen by millions of people. It got hundreds of likes and I received hundreds of followers as a result of it. So try and ride the wave of big influencers. The next strategy is repurpose comments into content. And what I mean by that is comments are essentially little prompts of posts. And so you can get an arsenal of comments that you've left, and then with that, you can just repurpose them into posts. And that's an easy way to create content. And the last thing is reciprocity. It's no secret that comments help push a LinkedIn post farther out. If something receives more comments, it's more likely to be seen by more people. And so when you comment, you're helping someone else out. And so if you leave a comment on someone's post 3 or 4, 5 times, every time that they post, they start to associate your name. They're like, hey, this person's helping me out. They're great. And when you post, they're much more likely to reciprocate it and leave a comment. Honestly, give it a shot. You'll be surprised at how many relationships you're able to build through comments. This next tip is, it's just like anything else, analyze the data. You can view company size, job titles, locations, industries, companies that they work at. Get to know the people who are viewing your content and adapt towards them. If your goal was to always post at 8 a.m., then look at the areas. If people are from the Pacific time zone, then post at 8 a.m. Pacific time zone. Or if you're targeting engineers, gear your content that's helpful for that audience. And if they're not viewing, try and adapt and connect with the more people in the audience that you want to reach. The next step, this is if you're really serious about it and want to improve, I would say keep track of the data in a spreadsheet. I did that actually for 3 years when I wanted to learn and grow. And it was super helpful because you can see what it is that top performing posts have in common. So I would track like when I posted it, the topic and the actual post, and then the likes after an hour, and then also after 24 hours. This one had 40 likes, this one had 233 likes. And so after I kept track of, 50, 100 plus posts, I could scroll through and see what does every post that got over 200 likes have in common. And you can analyze the actual posts. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's this one, it's because I called out my target audience in the first 2 words. I said, college students, if you're looking to get the most out of LinkedIn, then researching a person's profile is a skill you must develop. Okay, calling them out. And then you can just really see what performs best. Was it photos? Was it a PowerPoint, etc., and replicate it. And so once you do find something, really focus on the hook. The first 2 to 3 lines of a post is the make it or break it. If you don't capture their attention, they're just going to keep scrolling. So try and figure out how to master that hook and how to grab someone's attention. And the last thing, once you figure out what's working, run with it. You can keep experimenting, but if something worked, there's no reason to not replicate that formula until you find something that works for you and that your audience loves. Now, the last thing I would say, it's kind of a mind shift. It's like a shift in mindset, and that's focus on building a community rather than focus on building content. And the reason that is because community just lasts. You're with that. A way to build a community is ask questions to end your post. We already know people enjoy commenting, they want to engage with your content, and so asking a question is an excellent way for them to engage with the post. And I'm going to try and take my own advice, and I'll end this video with a question and an offer for a free LinkedIn profile review. So we'll see if it works. And actually, this is, if you do want to if you do want to create content, I would say this is debatably the most important tip that you can take away from this. And that's respond to every comment that someone leaves on your post. And as a pro tip, ask a question to encourage them to comment again. And so if I ask like, hey, what's your favorite interview question? Or these are my 5 favorite interview questions that I ask at the end of an interview. And then at the end, I'm like, what's your favorite? And someone's like, hey, I love to ask if they have any concerns with moving me forward, because I can address their concerns right there. And then if that's their comment, I would be like, wow, I love that. Thanks for sharing. What's the typical, what does a recruiter or hiring manager, what does their response typically look like? And then they respond, and then I can respond again. And so from a single comment, you can get 8 or 9 comments, and LinkedIn doesn't know the difference. It doesn't differentiate if it's you commenting. It just sees the total number of comments, and it boosts your views. Next is to message return visitors and continued supporters. If you're starting out creating content and you've seen someone's commented on your last few posts, send them a message. Be like, hey, thanks so much for taking the time to comment. It really does mean a lot. I'm starting out, so I appreciate your support. And you would be surprised at how many relationships you can build through expressing gratitude and appreciation. So that's kind of taking it an extra step and showing and building a community of supporters and people who want you to succeed. And the last thing is take the conversation offline. Once again, LinkedIn is not like any other platform. If you message, DM to someone on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it might be kind of weird. They'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to. But on LinkedIn, people are here to network. They're here to learn from other like-minded professionals, and they want to grow. And so it's totally normal. And some of the greatest relationships that I've had and still have to this day came from complete strangers I never knew on LinkedIn that we had virtual coffee chat. And now we stay in touch, every month, every few months, and they have become mentors to me, and I've been able to help a lot of people as well. And so with that, as a recap, try and get started with topics that you want to focus on, and then analyze data, comment, build a community, and just keep growing and set those expectations up front. I set a goal to end every video with a free LinkedIn profile review. And so if you are interested in receiving a free LinkedIn profile review, please, just let me know in the comments below. Like, if you started to post content on LinkedIn, what topics most interest you? I would love to engage with your content. And so if you currently are posting on LinkedIn, let me know what type of content you create and send a link. I'd love to engage with your content, share my thoughts. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. And I look forward to reading the comments, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like me to cover in the future. Thanks, everyone.